So financial giving, I think, has been an area that we've kind of gone through phases as we matured in our lives. I had a pretty legalistic view. We're going to give God his 10%, count it all up. If it's 10%, I'm being a good steward. There's nothing wrong with stewardship, but we weren't being transformed. It was just more of checking the box that we've done what we should do for God. 12 years ago, God really started working on our hearts that it's all his. And yes, we were very convinced that we needed to bring 10%, but then we were going to give generously on top of that to support any ministries that God put in our path. And that's when giving started to get fun. Like, we would support new things, but God would provide more resources. And so we were able to just support different things. And we started to see transformation, not just with financial, but also with our possessions, our home. But now, like, looking at unfinished, I think it's time for the next step. And that's sacrificial giving. Generosity is fun, it's great, but honestly, we've never even got to the point where we felt like we were sacrificing anything. I feel like God is calling us to move to that next level. And when we wrote words on the mirror, what I wrote was no safety net. God has us in his hand, and that we shouldn't be trusting our savings or our 401k or any of that for our future. Those are all fine things, but we need to recognize that it's all God's. And whether he gives us just enough to eat and a house to live, or whether he blesses us tremendously financially, that isn't the goal. The goal is the transformation in our hearts.
But that question is, do I believe him? I believe in him, and I'm a follower of Christ. But do I take my Bible and actually believe what he says? Because if I can say yes, then in those moments when I am filled with worry or just struggling, I can remind myself, no, he took care of us in this situation, in this situation, in this situation. And I can pick up my Bible and see that he's not just going to let me flounder, that he will take care of our needs.
When you have a generous heart and God speaks to you and says, hey, I want you to add a zero. Like, that happened one time. It was like, are you serious? Like, add a zero to that? That's 10 times more. But God really said, do it. And we did it. And it was outrageous. And it was awesome. Like, to just see like the impact that would have and the transformation that it made, because I was trusting him and just letting go. I'm not saying that God is going to answer your gift with financial blessings, but he promises he will bless you. And those blessings a lot of times are going to be the more valuable ones. They're going to be your heart changing,
right.
Your marriage changing, your outlook on everything will change.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited. I'm stoked to see what God is going to do. If we're obedient, how is he going to transform us even more? And are we going to help other people to recognize the joy that comes in just letting go, holding everything with an open hand and saying, it's all yours, God. What do you want to do with it?
I mean, I'm excited about the buildings and what it's going to do, but I'm more excited to see the faith growth and seeing people fall in love with God more and more. So I would encourage people just to take that step. Say, okay, God, I don't know about this, but I want to grow. God's not going to leave you hanging. He is going to walk through this with you. You get to a certain age, and sometimes you can struggle with, do I have a place? Is God going to use me? Do I still have something to give? And I do. And he's reminded me of that. Our journey, our race is not finished. None of us are done. We're all on a journey, and it's all growth. And I want to be the woman that he has created me to be.
Yeah, we are getting older, but this isn't the time to coast. Like, I don't want to come to the finish line and just cruise across and barely sweating. I want to dive across with my last bit of energy and having spent everything and just laid it all out, so that when people remember me, they don't remember somebody who got to a peak and then just coasted. I want to keep pushing, I want to finish the race well.
I'm Marcy.
And I'm Mike.
And we are unfinished.